Well, KTN Sunday night begins now. 3 people are feared dead, 11 others unaccounted for, and over 200 people have been displaced following a mudslide that occurred in Tapach area of Pokot Central Saturday evening. Aid agencies say the slippery terrain is slowing down rescue efforts.
Sunday morning in West Pokot, 3 people feared dead and 250 people displaced after landslides hit the area. The Kenya Red Cross retrieved 2 bodies from the mud, and 11 others whose whereabouts are unknown are boys who had just undergone an initiation ceremony in Pokot. Residents fear they might be buried in the mud. Livestock that were covered by the mudslide were swept off after River Weiwei also burst its banks. Rescue efforts by the team to evacuate stranded residents are proving difficult due to muddy and slippery terrain coupled with the ongoing rains. Families are being advised to stay away from hanging cliffs until the rains subside as efforts to move them to safer areas proceed. Saturday night's landslide is not the first in Pokot County, as similar tragedies had been experienced in the recent past. In November, a man and his 2 children were buried alive by mudslides in West Pokot as heavy rains hit the area. 3 years ago, 11 people perished in the area while several others were displaced after they were struck by mudslides as they slept in their homes. The incident forced the government to evacuate families living in areas that are prone to flood disasters. Joy Doreen Bira, KTN Sunday night.
Now, the heavy rains that have pounded the country for the last 1 week left a trail of destruction in the Kano Plains of Nyanza province, with flash floods displacing more than 100 families while sweeping away property of unknown value. The Red Cross has today conducted relief efforts across the region, providing foodstuff to affected families and those accommodated at various centers across Nyando constituency. Well, up next, KTN's Nyanza reporter Fred Omulo provides an eyewitness account of the tribulations of the area's residents.
Yangu imeenda na maji yote, na bwana yangu sijui alitoka ameenda wapi. Niko tu na watoto peke yangu. Serikali tafadhali, niko saidi mbaya kabisa. Kama unaweza kunisaidia, unisaidie pali pa kuenda leo.
That was the scene in villages surrounding Ahero town, moments after River Nyando that originates in the rainy Nandi Hills burst its banks. And like in years before, many residents here lost their property and some even their houses.
Kitu cha kwanza, hii miwa yenye imepandwa hapa kwa hii dai inatuletea hasara kubwa. Ndio imesuia hii maji, sasa ikafanya maji imefurikia kwa hizi maboma zetu.
The endless tale of flash floods and humanitarian crisis has become a familiar refrain in this region, with the state usually dragging its feet and humanitarian organizations like the Red Cross moving in faster to alleviate the burden. Lucky for locals here, the river had already started subsiding today. So far, a total of 142 families have been displaced in the area, but many have already been integrated into various villages.
For us, Kenya Red Cross, we are now sensitizing the communities to be able to move to higher grounds, because the rains continue around the upstream areas, like the Nandi Hills. This place is likely to be affected more.
Residents of the neighboring Muhoroni constituency were not spared either.
Maji iliingia kwa boma langu, ikafagia hata mfugo, kuku, imejaa ndani ya nyumba, hata vile mama anaweza pika hakuna. Watoto hata mele wanaweza lala hakuna.
When you reach the junction at the Ahero Girls, it was so much water, and the water went all the way to Kubura Primary School. The rice paddies were like another lake here.
Even as the waters of River Nyando subside and residents receive disaster relief, River Sondu in Nyakach constituency has burst its banks, placing the lives of even more families in danger. To make matters worse, the carnage spread to Nyakweri village in Nyakach constituency after heavy rains pounded the neighboring Kericho county, leaving a trail of destruction in nearby farms. From Kisumu County, I am Fred Omulo.
Let's stay with that story. When the Meteorological Department gave an alert of possible floods in several regions in the country, that was in September, the Ministries of Health and Special Programs ensured Kenyans that they had put in place measures to minimize the effects of floods. Well, those promises have not been honored, and Kenyans in different parts of the country continue to suffer severely from flash floods caused by the ongoing heavy rains. Here's KTN's Angel Katusia with the story.
In September, the Meteorological Department gave an outlook of the short rains in the country, stressing that there was need for Ministries of Health and that of Special Programs to put in place measures to mitigate the effects of the heavy rains forecasted.
The health sector is therefore advised to ensure that standard intervention procedures are in place before the onset of the rains.
The Minister of Special Programs then assured Kenyans that all would be well since they were putting measures in place to ensure no tragedies occur due to the heavy rains.
We would like to minimize any deaths, any loss of property, and any displacement of people.
The short rains began in mid-October, and true to the meteorological forecast, many regions have experienced increased rains. The results being flash floods causing deaths, displacements, destruction of property and infrastructure, as well as washing away farmlands. Mudslides are not new occurrences in Rift Valley. Residents of Elgeyo Marakwet claim to have previously asked authorities to relocate them in vain. In the region, homes sit at the base of Kerio Valley escarpment, putting them at risk whenever it rains. Boulders and earth come down, tumbling, burying houses and destroying property whenever the area experiences heavy downpour.
Na tumeambia wahamishe, si watu yote waende wapi? Juu. Ndio maana sasa watu wanakufa. Sasa hatuna kitu ya kufanya tena.
Tunataka kwa serikali angalia atupatilishie shamba, wachukue shamba na watupatie mahali pengine, mahali safe kwa binadamu.
The government under the ministry responsible has left Kenyans at the mercy of God, ignoring promises to no adverse effects of floods, with residents of Elgeyo Marakwet and Kenyans in affected areas claiming they don't have alternative places to relocate to. Who is to blame? There are also concerns that cultural reasons, including myths and superstitions, have hampered efforts to relocate the residents. Residents in Elgeyo Marakwet, for instance, believe that only bad people in society are hit by tragedies, and this has made it difficult to relocate some families from the Kerio Valley. With the heavy rains expected to continue, many are hoping that the government will keep true its promise and ensure safety of Kenyans in disaster-prone areas. Angel Katusia, KTN, Sunday night.
Well, pertinent issues there about the heavy rain situation. But let's now move on to politics. The Registrar of Political Parties has summoned partners of the Jubilee Alliance over the coalition's fallout with Musalia Mudavadi's UDF. Officials of the National Alliance, the United Republican Party and the United Democratic Forum will tomorrow meet the Registrar to seek a solution to the stalemate. And as KTN's Ashimulu reports, the legal implications of the Jubilee row could cause ripples in the political arena.
A special tribunal to oversee the resolution of political party disputes is set to be sworn in Monday by Chief Justice Willy Mutunga. The team will oversee any rows that may arise during the party nomination process, perhaps in anticipation of political squabbles ahead of the March 4th general election, such as in the case of the now estranged Jubilee coalition.
Uhuru Kenyatta akasema yeye ametafakari, amefikiria, anaona kwamba kwa sababu ya umoja yeye hataki kugombea kiti cha urais, lakini anataka aniunge mkono niwe candidate wa Jubilee.
Mtani ambaye hata hajui kazi hiyo tulianzisha namna gani, wanakuja wanasema sasa unajua sasa nyinyi mkienda hivyo mmejitangaza, unajua sasa wazungu hawatatupatia pesa.
It's a divorce that is before the Registrar of Political Parties to analyze the prenuptial agreement of the collapsing marriage. And now officials from Uhuru's TNA, Mudavadi's UDF, and William Ruto's URP have been summoned for arbitration talks scheduled for Monday after UDF challenged its expulsion from the coalition. The registrar, Lucy Ndungu, told KTN that the Jubilee Alliance is recognized as a legally binding pact between all three parties. However, the coalition's Dispute Resolution Council will meet the registrar before a final verdict on the way forward is given. According to the agreement deposited at the registrars, if the Resolution Council finds that there has been fundamental breach of the agreement, it would direct the coalition partner in breach to rectify that breach. Alternatively, if the agreement is irreparably frustrated, the aggrieved party, in this case Mudavadi, would be in liberty to withdraw from the coalition after serving a 3-month notice. In light of this, legal experts say that the registrar has a hard task ahead, considering that the general election is only 2 months away. The Jubilee row could have grave implications on Uhuru's presidential bid, as well as Musalia Mudavadi's plan to run for the country's top seat on a UDF ticket. Ashamwilu, KTN, Sunday Night.
Let's stay with politics. With just 2 months to the general election, politicians are upping hand for votes. Jubilee Coalition's William Ruto was in Bomet County. Code Alliance's Moses Wetangula was in Western Kenya, while presidential hopefuls Martha Karua and Peter Kenneth campaigned in Kirinyaga and Kaloleni respectively. Well, Aaron Ochieng is up next with today's Politics Roundup.
The Jubilee Alliance second in command was in Bomet County, where he addressed a campaign rally in an area perceived to be his stronghold. Eldoret North Member of Parliament William Ruto continued with his call for the youth to vote for a younger generation of leaders. Ruto says Jubilee Coalition is confident of trouncing the Code Alliance by a landslide victory in the first round of election.
They told us they wanted to change, and that change includes generational change. Now they have gone, they have backtracked. They don't want change anymore. Wanataka status quo. Wanataka analog generation waendelee. Wakati mimi sijazaliwa walikuwa katika uongozi. Kalonzo Musyoka alikuwa waziri. Raila Odinga alikuwa waziri. Walikuwa katika siasa. Tunaambia mwaka ujao ni mwaka wa Jubilee.
And in Trans Nzoia County, Ford Kenya party leader Moses Wetangula led fellow party leaders in campaigning in Saboti and Kiminini, where they called on the area member of parliament Eugene Wamalwa to stop seeking alliances elsewhere and join the Code Alliance. Wetangula says the Jubilee Alliance leadership cannot be trusted with constitutional implementation. The Ford Kenya brigade thanked Lugari member of parliament for joining the Code Alliance.
Katiba ambayo itaondoa kupendelewa sehemu zingine za Kenya na kulaliwa sehemu zingine za Kenya. Wale ambao tunabishana nao mnawajua walikuwa wanatembea hapa na kadi nyekundu wakisema katiba ni mbaya.
Mwenye alipotea juzi ni ndugu yangu Eugene Wamalwa. Amewachwa, ameenda kwa chama mingi, ya mwisho atipambasuka na chama imepambasuka, sahi hana mtu.
And another presidential hopeful in the Eagle Alliance, Gatanga member of parliament Peter Kenneth, continued with his campaigns in the coastal region, where he addressed a rally in Kaloleni Giriama. Kenneth says the time for taking chances is long overdue and called on the residents of the coastal region to elect leaders who have a development track record.
Chaguo ni mingi, wa Kenya tulio wengi ambao wanaweza kuongoza taifa letu.
And campaigning in Kirinyaga County home turf, Ishugu member of parliament na Kenya presidential hopeful Martha Karua said the Grand Coalition government failed in a major way to curb corruption in the civil service and top government circles.
Every other scandal, right from the maize scandal, the Triton, all other scandals, actually, there was no retreating once the corruption scandal is unearthed.
And President Mwai Kibaki today joined other Christians for a Sunday Mass at the Consolata Shrine Catholic Church in Westlands in Nairobi. The Mass was conducted by Father Daniel Bertea, who called upon Christians to always endeavor to do what is pleasing to God in order to receive his blessings. Aaron Ochen, KTN, Sunday Night.
Political temperatures there continue to rise and sizzle as the politicians hunt for your votes. But coming up next is Joy Doreen Bera with the latest in the counties.
Huruma Estate in Kiamaiko area this Sunday woke up to chaos and protests following the shooting of a Muslim cleric by unknown assailants. Irate residents took to the streets, barricading roads. The residents blamed the increased insecurity on the laxity by the police to execute their duties. Oil exploration workers and security officers working for BGP Oil Exploration Company in Kalokol Base in Lake Turkana have gone on strike, protesting poor pay and poor work conditions. The more than 300 workers accuse a Chinese contractor hired by British Tullow Oil Company of harassment, high-handedness and neglect of their basic rights. In Transmara district, residents have lobbied the Lands Ministry to intervene in a dispute involving a 10-kilometer stretch of land in the Mara Triangle. And finally, in Kajiado, it was all drama at the home of aspiring parliamentarian in what family members termed an attempt to bewitch the politician. Family of Isinya Ward Councillor Joshua Kintei Olowasa say a cat covered in a drawing of a coffin drawn was found in the politician's compound. A pastor was called in to pray over the said black magic before it was burnt.
President Mwai Kibaki leaves office next year after 10 years as president of Kenya. How will you remember Kibaki? What mark will he leave on the face of Kenya? Well, tonight, KTN's political editor Noah Otieno brings you a special documentary on the Kibaki legacy. Well, here's a snippet from this special piece.
Wengine tumesaidiana ambako kuwa makosa hapa na pale, yote tukubali kama ni makosa. Kwa hivyo mimi sidhani ni jambo la busara kuongea juu ya nani alitaka nyara urais wa Kibaki. Yeye amekuwa pale. Utakumbukwa kwa katiba mpya, kwa elimu ya bure, barabara zetu hizo zimeimarika, zingine bado kazi nyingi ya kufanyika, lakini akaanzisha yeye mambo haya. Lakini watamumiss kwa kusema relax. Yeah, I think he has meant well. Kuambia wananchi wa Kenya enjoy. Watamiss hiyo nadhani. Oh, wasema enjoy. Yeah.
Well, more of that coming up in just a short while. Stay tuned for that KTN special as Noah gives us an analytical look at Kibaki's journey in State House. Welcome back to KTN Sunday Night. National soccer team's assistant coach Ken Odhiambo led the national team in a light training session today morning as they prepare for their return leg match against Burundi.
National soccer team Harambee Stars has already reported to camp as they look to reverse the 1-0 goal deficit in the hands of Burundi. The team held a light training session under assistant coach Ken Odhiambo. Head coach James Nando, who is bereaved, has been away from the national engagement but is expected back in camp tomorrow. 25 players were recalled to camp to prepare for the CHAN qualifier. In the league front, Gor Mahia has signed KCB scoring machine Paul Mungai Kiongera. There are hopes that Kiongera, who was pivotal in the Bankers outing last season, will remain with the Bankers following the arrival of new coach Abdallah Juma, but he opted for the Premier League runners-up. FC Leopards Amon Mushiri has moved to Sony Sugar. Coastal side Bandari, who are making a return to top-flight football, have signed the services of Alois Mangi from Western Steamer. With the Tusker Premier League 2013 season beginning on the 10th of February, teams are in top gear as they bolster their squads. Coaches and players have been looking for greener pastures. Reporting for KTN Weekend Prime Sports, I'm Hassan Juma.